tutti si vetri, caira batu suere matre spura, tacere di Piri tutte rispagliano gente, su cui amatossi, te pacutro spiratu, ocura. Cucina ma sulla ieri sera, te pacutro spagnato, te giuro. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the table where we have myself, Vox Angeles, and Andona Sananda Kamara, and we would like to welcome Chernise Spruell to the Light Language Conversation. We're so happy to have you join us today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Welcome. Yes, welcome. It's so beautiful to have you here. When I checked you out, I felt like there was this energy, this connectedness that just brought us together. So I'm so excited to have the opportunity to get to know you today and for our audience to have an opportunity to get to experience your light language. So welcome.
Thank you so much.
So beautiful. And so let's just start out by asking, how did all of this begin for you? When did you start to speak light language?
Well, my journey began, I guess, around 2009 when I started channeling archangels. About a year or so after that, I don't remember how it specifically started, but I started making these sounds. I started making sounds that sounded like a sustained note, and it felt like they were coming from the angelic realm. And so I started calling them angelic toning, but I didn't know what it did. I knew I felt peaceful when I did it. And once I just met up with a friend who, whenever we get together, we're super talkative, very chatty Cathy. And I, channeled this tone, and both of us were just absolutely quiet for like 40 seconds, which was a big deal because it didn't normally happen. And then around that same time, I started speaking light language, and I'm not sure I knew that what it was. But I was really excited. And so whenever, I would meet up with my spiritual friends, it was like, hey, look what I could do. Blah, 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 blah. And I would speak light language. And then I think I had a friend whose light language activated at the same time. And it was just so beautiful because I love channeling energy from the archangels and ascended masters. I love channeling guidance. It's very tailored to assist us in our third dimensional way of thinking, and so that we can consciously take in information and work with it. And sometimes there's information or there's energy that bypasses that and then, attunes our energy field. But light language feels so immediate and so powerful and so light at the same time. So it was an absolute joy to share it with people. And I loved being able to be in the space of not actually needing to know, like not needing to I'm going to say reduce, maybe that's not the right word, but not needing to reduce it to something that my third dimensional brain can process. I loved leaving it as something that was completely experiential, that my expanded bodies could understand, but that would affect me or affect my friends. And it just felt so loving and attuning. And so I would say I've been doing that since around 2011.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So many people describe the experience of light language coming on as this unexpected, abrupt thing. But from your story, it feels like you kind of had an inkling of what light language was, and there might have been an expectation or an acknowledgement or some sort of awareness that said this is kind of part of the natural flow of things. How was that experience for you?
It was such a beautiful experience because I've been held throughout my entire channeling experience. It started in my 30s. I wasn't necessarily trying to become a channel, but it ended up unfolding as I was looking into understanding more of who I was. And so nothing about that felt normal, but it did feel natural in some way. And so the speaking of light language and channeling angelic tones was similar in that respect. It was not normal, but something about it felt right and lovely and safe and high vibration. And so much about what I do and then what I teach is about ensuring that your connection with the divine when you want to speak light language is reliable, that it's safe, that you're connecting with the energy that you did not desire to connect with. So I end up, well, I would say I have less abrupt experiences, but I do get sort of like these taps on my shoulder, like energetic taps, like, hey, we want to speak to you, because I've been very, yeah, I've just wanted to ensure that the energy that comes through for me or for my students is of the highest vibration, because I'm not someone who has the gift of being able to see through the veil. Like I have friends that can see all types of things. I can feel things, but I can't see things. So I remember at the very beginning of my channeling experience, I remember telling Source, I was like, look, I am not intending to be some type of energetic halfway house. I need to have some way to ensure that the vibration that is coming through is safe. So basically, the way that I work with it now is like, I'm either knocking on the door or setting the intent to speak the light language or the light language or the channeling. Like I get a signal from the archangels or from my soul, like, hey, time to connect. So that's how I work with it.
It's interesting. You had mentioned something about when you're talking about when it was coming in, that you were so happy, I guess, kind of happy to surrender to the need not to know. And I think it's really about allowing yourself to surrender to the unknown so that there is this pure and unadulterated force of expression that's coming in with a light language. Because I know so many people are like, what does that mean? You know, can you translate it for me? And people are always of the mindset, often when hearing that, they need to know what it means, what it's doing, and so forth. So I'm curious, I guess I can ask this question now, is how do you feel that your light language is actually interacting with people physically, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, and so forth?
So I want to address that question, but I want to address something you said before because it is so powerful, the desire to know. So many people want to know. And there is a book called Your Brain at Work where it's mentioned that your being equates not knowing with pain. Your brain equates not knowing with pain. So I think that's the impetus for people wanting to have things in like concise, bite-sized forms. And I always like to acknowledge that because for me, there is this joy of not needing to know and being more scientific about it. Like, so what do I feel after I speak the light language or if I interact with people? So one of the things I love that I love finding out for my students, it's a wonderful opportunity to get feedback because I will say something about the way the guides have been working with me is they're kind of like, hey, do this. And maybe I've never done it before, but it's like, teach this class. And it's like, well, I don't know if I can activate light language in people. So I'm really hoping that I can activate light language in people. And then it happens. And so basically, that's how I am aware of the interaction with others, is literally getting feedback. And so it's really nice to have in my light language classes, I have a level 1, level 2, and a level 3 class, and we have breakout groups and we share. And so many times I'll speak light language and then I'll ask what they experienced, or when they're in breakout groups with other students, I'll ask what they experienced. And they'll say, my pain went away, or I felt joyful, or we couldn't stop giggling, or I was singing when I speak light language and I never sing. There's so many ways to know that the energy signatures of that were delivered through the light language have been received. And I'm so grateful that it happens in the third dimensional world, like through our third dimensional senses, or else I would think I was crazy. Like, it's just really nice to get some form of confirmation on the third dimensional plane, by someone who's not myself, to say like, oh, I did this and this happens. And I'm continuously blown away. I had one student who I don't know what happened to her knees, but her doctor told her that she would never be able to hike again. Like, she was a hiker and her doctor said she could never hike again. So for 5 years, she had been working on hiking because she was basically like, well, that's not my reality. Thank you for stating that. That's not my truth. I intend to hike again. And so at that point, she was in my light language class. And so she had a hike scheduled and she went on this hike. And I just love everything that she said. She was hiking with two people and she told them, like, by the way, I might be in knee pain. And for whatever reason, when I speak light language, my knees feel better. It might sound like a made up language because they didn't know what light language was. They were not spiritual people, but she told them anyway. And she told me afterwards that the light language didn't completely take away the pain, but it reduced it significantly so that she was able to go through the trip. And then the two people that were with her on this trip, the gentleman, after the trip was over, told her that if she hadn't spoken the light language, he didn't think he would have been able to make it. And he said he would have like stopped on the trail and had someone get him. It's it's just such a powerful, I feel like modality is the wrong word. It's almost like limiting, but it's so powerful and immediate the way the body resonates with this. And I believe it is just because it is part of our true divine nature. It's like a really beautiful return to our essence. And it's beautiful how quickly it works and how when you see evidence of something like that, you are forced to change your perspective of what you believe is true, because the fact that her pain was reduced significantly, it's like, what if her pain could be reduced altogether? What else is possible? It's really lovely.
That speaks to the power of utilizing light language for the everyday mundane, the things we see as mundane, right? Yeah. Do
Completely.
you have a concept of how light language is interacting with the field? Like what exactly is happening when you allow yourself to be that conduit for that energy to flow through?
I think what is happening is that it's kind of like water moves in waves and sound moves in waves. So if you introduce sound to water, there's a very quick and resistanceless effect. I think it's similar because, like, when you're speaking light language, there's this pure divine frequency that's interacting with our true divine essence. And so it entrains that physical form, that the aspects of our physical form, the light codes of our physical form that have maybe been more reflective of the third dimensional reflection. It's like reflective of a reflection versus reflective of the truth. And so when that pure divine essence is reintroduced to our pure divine essence, I just think the resistance just flies away. Like, I think there's just an easy acceptance and expression. And so my body parts will move in a heartbeat. When I hear light language, I start like moving around, and it's just interesting, but it's because those frequencies are able to be received by my being, and then my physical being responds in a way that's reflective of that introduction. So that's my take on what's happening.
I was trying to formulate a question in my mind here. You were talking about, because I work with Elohim, so I'm working with the angels and so forth as well. And you're talking about where the light language is coming from for you and how it is received. And there's such a beauty in that, in this flow of purity and connection and light. So I'm curious if you feel that there's a distinction between those that say, well, it's angelic, it's God, it's source, it's creator, right? This energy, versus many people speak light language, but there's galactic languages. They're speaking with the Arcturians, the Palladians, the Lyrans, whatever it might be, right? That they're receiving these messages. And for me, I've been thinking about this. I'm kind of like, there's a differentiation for me, a distinction that I myself I'm really trying to make, because there's not a knowing that needs to happen for me. It's just, as you were talking about, the flow on the waters, right? And you don't need to know. You can't, it's almost as if you really had to know, it would diminish the full capacity of what it is. So when we're looking at light language as leaning more towards messages from galactic consciousnesses and so forth, do you feel that that is the same? Because when we're talking about messages, that is leaning more towards a language, is leaning more towards something a little bit different. And I'm curious on what your both of your perspective is on that.
I think light language is a portal and a carrier of frequencies. And I think it's definitely based on where your intent to connect is, like where you desire to source this energy from. I think it's all available. But I think I think that's the differentiator, because if you set the intent to connect with source, then that's what's going to flow through. If you desire to connect with your galactic family, then it can come from there. In my level 1 course, I teach light language from your soul. And then my level 2 course, I teach light language from unicorns and dragons, the sun, and your galactic family. And I would just like to specify something that I feel like I'm a little soapboxy about when it comes to your galactic family. Our true divine essence is source. That's our home, because some people might say, like, my home planet is the Pleiades. And I think those planets are more representative of maybe a space we may have visited and had a strong connection with, and maybe we're holding those frequencies here, or maybe we just loved being there, but our true home is source. And so I just like to put that out there. But yeah, I think that the true differentiator is just where you would like to source your information from. I define light language as sound-based. I mean, you can also paint it or write it, or, it can be movement, but it's a sound-based transfer of light codes from a high vibrational source beyond the veil to and through you. So I think of it as a way to connect with different energies. But obviously the purest is going to be from I believe directly from source. And when you do, like you said, when you move into your galactic family, like there's a way that is that communication happens on that planet. So it is really a language. Whereas when you're just connecting to source, it's I think it's just these pure frequencies, these pure loving light codes that remind you of who you are. So hopefully that is a good answer, a clear answer.
Yeah.
I was talking a bit.
That, that was a nice response, a beautiful response. I feel the same way. I feel like it's divine frequency in its purest essence, and we are the hollow bone through which that flows. And the summoning is what would dictate the overlay, if there is a necessity for an overlay. So that overlay, by overlay, I mean a connectedness, a filter through the Pleiadians, or you need that
Yes.
Arcturian energy, or something in that respect. I feel that to attempt to containerize it as a message is to limit its purest essence, right? When I'm channeling light language, when I'm allowing it to flow through, I am literally just sitting in the heart, allowing myself to radiate, to be a radiant beam. I'm seeing myself as the sun radiating out in all directions. That's it. However it's received is really aligned with the person. It's subjective, and relative to the person who's in receipt of that. Yeah. So even when I go back and listen to it, to my own light language, it's hitting me in a different way every time because I'm not really looking at it with an intention to attach a message necessarily to it. It's hitting me where it needs to be hit. So having said that, I'm going to ask you that question, Chernise. Do you listen to your own transmissions? Do you allow yourself to receive your own transmissions? Because it's one thing to channel it through, right? But I found that there's an added dimension and it has a catalyzing effect for the self to receive your own light language because you're receiving your own frequency. And in that respect, you are your own best activator. So, yeah.
That's such a good suggestion and such a good question. There were times when I would listen to my light language, but I usually just channel it and allow it to flow through me. But now I'm going to start recording it, listening to it more. But I'm definitely of the same mind as you. I actually had a light language student have a like after class, she came back to me and had a session, and she was telling me that she joined another like a light language group, and they were all channeling light language and like, what did you get? Where did you feel? What was the message? And she felt a little bit attacked. And it's because the way that I teach the course and the way that I feel, which I believe is similar to you, is that it is everything it needs to be as it comes through. Like there is nothing else you need to do. Our expanded aspects, like our emotional, mental, spiritual bodies, all those different levels they know what to do with the information. It's for us to receive it. And so I shared that with her because, like you said, there is a desire to know. And like the author of this book said before, there's a pain, your brain associates pain with not knowing. So there is that. But I love just receiving the energy. And I definitely like to share that whatever you want to do with this is it's yours. You don't have to try to understand it. I mean, I think it's such a gift and a blessing to allow ourselves to expand into that space of, knowing that we've received everything that we have. Like, I love that you move into your heart space and radiate, see yourself as the sun. And like, when you're doing that, it's like, this is all that I need, and then you listen back to it and you get more from it then. But yeah, it's such a special experience as it is. And I think there's just a beautiful gift and practice for us to move into release needing to know, especially when we've created a safe space and we're ensure that our connection is of a high, pure vibration, to just allow ourselves to gently expand into more of that space. Because I think that that's where we're going, or where we are, but we're unfolding into, however you want to word it. It's like, it's there's so many more senses and way to interpret energy beyond the senses that we're used to. And I think the more that we can just practice that, the better it is. And I feel like light language is just a lovely way to begin to get safe, to feel safer in that space. And I will say though, for a while I had a Facebook group, and it was for my channeling program. And every Tuesday I would do these light language transmissions. And I usually would just, channel the light language and ask people what they felt. And sometimes I would get conscious messages to share. And then I would do that if they came through. But generally, my intent is, and my belief is what is coming through is the totality of what is needed and what is beneficial.
I was sitting here thinking, the thought came to mind listening to your beautiful answers. And so we're all kind of in alignment with all of that. But we were talking earlier about, is it a modality? Is it? And I think of it more as like an infinite technology, an ascension technology.
Yes, perfect.
That is really innate to all of us. It's not like we've got to learn to speak light language and make that connection. It feels more to me as if it's really like a remembrance or an opening or a revealing of what's already there through that connection. Because I know a lot of people are always going outside, I'm seeking the light language, I'm trying to find that. And it really, when we drop down into the heart, it's here. That's
Yes.
where that language is. It's a soul. It's a language of the soul, right? It's
Yes.
innate within all of us. So it's really about tapping into and revealing that ability, just like riding a bike,
Yes.
right? It's there. I'm curious, in your own like spiritual unfolding and so forth, how has the light language really transformed your own life?
Wow. Um, it's transformed it in so many different ways. One of the things I say in the class, because like I said, my level 1 class is connecting with your own soul, is that you're connecting, you're hearing this communication from your soul, but ultimately it is you. Like this you. There's like no separation. But there have been so many times I was anxious to teach a class and I connected with my soul. And there's one time I wish I could remember what it was actually for, but I was just really like not in that space that I wanted to be for the class. I was just really not in. And I remember I started, connected to my soul, and my soul started speaking through me, and it was just like a mom picking up a child out of the mud. I just felt like happier and happier and happier, and then it was all transformed. It was just the most beautiful and loving experience. It was so sweet and so joyful and so media. I'm like crying right now. And it's like knowing that that's always there is so powerful. It's so powerful. Like sometimes, I mean, like what I do when I take a shower, I'll speak light language and I'll direct it to my chakras. Um, I'll speak light language throughout the day. But one thing that I do enjoy doing is I have a crystal singing bowl, so I'll sound that, and then sometimes I'll hum and then speak light language along with it. But I'd say the most powerful way it's assisted me is in, even though I channel archangels, is that like just knowing that I'm there, that the source is the source of love, that my soul is like right there for me at any time. It's such a beautiful feeling. Such a beautiful feeling.
That's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And it brings to mind, I just recorded something for a conference that I'm a part of. And as I was delivering that message, I said something and I heard myself say it in a different way. I heard myself say, we're souls having a human experience, right? But most people think of themselves as a soul within a body, a soul within a body. But really, it's the soul that's experiencing physical being through the vessel that is the body. And so when you see it as the soul operating through the vessel that is the body, then it kind of makes something click within the mind to allow the mind to get out of the way, because really you aren't this vessel, right? You're the soul
Yes.
animating the vessel, operating through the vessel. And it for me, it kind of level set some things. It kind of shifted some things in order for me to get out of the way even more, to allow me, the true essence, the divine essence of me, to operate through this vehicle, to operate through the vehicle, right? Yeah.
That is so beautiful. I
Yeah.
love that you said that.
Yeah. So you mentioned a lot of working with your classes and doing things with your classes with light language, and it feels that light language has become something that you embody in all aspects of life. So I'm curious to know how your family has acclimated to this version of you. Do you speak light language? Do you share light language with them? Are they accepting of it? How do they feel about you embodying this light language?
So my mom and I have a very close relationship. I'm in New York, she's in South Carolina. She is very religious, very Christian, but so she's had some issue with me channeling angels, and I tell her the angels are in the Bible. So, but I mean, so many times, like, it, it's really beautiful to see her in that space of mothering and loving me and seeing and knowing who I am, because she will kind of refer to the Bible sometimes. Like I could see her have challenges with, like, she's a channel. What is that? That's not good. But then she sees me offer loving advice and sees how I am around people. And I mean, sees me offering loving advice and sees how I am around people. And so it's really lovely to see her. It's kind of like these two sides of her, like, wait, this is wrong, but wait, no, I know her and she's not wrong. It's so that's just really funny. Um, so I don't speak light language with her very much, but when I go home, she has been open to certain things. Like I love crystals, and I have this selenite wand, and I think her back was hurting. She was lying down once, and or I suggested that she lie down and hold this crystal, and then her back stopped hurting. She let me do angel healing sessions on her. So she's opening in some ways, and especially when I tell her that, like, light language is, can also be called speaking in tongues, sort of. There's like a connection. So she's opening to that. She's still skeptical, but I can tell her heart is like overpowering that. And then I live with my husband, and he is he's such a sweetheart. He's just the loveliest man. And he knew I was a channel when we first started dating. And he is just happy for me and delighted that the work that I do brings about joy. And he sees the joy that it brings others. I tone for him sometimes. I've spoken light language for him sometimes. I don't speak it all the time with him. But they are receptive to it. So I like that I'm in a space where I can express myself that way. I have students, and know people that can't always do that, but I'm at least surrounded by these beautiful love-based people that are aware that what I'm doing is loving, and how I'm being is loving.
It's interesting. I just had a performance in Hawaii, and my husband was there, and and this is the very first time he has ever heard a transmission. He's heard me sing with groups and so forth, but he was in the audience and I saw him drop. And so afterwards, and I was almost like really shy and thinking, oh my God, what is he going to think? Is that so funny? Because he's never, I mean, he hears me doing things in my office and everything. So afterwards, I said, well, what was your experience? What did you think? And he was like, it was interesting. That's what I got. So
That is so awesome and so beautiful. I mean, I have the same feeling. I had the same feelings when telling my husband about it. It's like, what is he gonna think? Is he gonna think I'm crazy? Meanwhile, I love dragons and angels. It's like, if he doesn't think I'm crazy now. But I love that your husband was so receptive. Like that's a beautiful leap for someone, even though it might not sound like that. That's not rejecting. Like if you'd heard someone else, it could have been like, they're crazy, whatever, but it's so lovely. Yeah, that's just beautiful. I think that's beautiful.
well, and I was making that point because I think it's really important to have community around you, or to have your friends or family around you as your spiritual journey unfolds, that are supportive. And it's not that they have to understand, but just stating that sometimes you can be just walking side by side, and if you're just respectful and honoring of what the other person is desiring to do with their life, right? I think that's really what we all need, because I know, like, several people have said, yeah, I was seeking a group, I was seeking like-minded individuals and so forth. And that, I think that's really important to find, but it can look different for everyone, right? And that's really the
Yes.
point I want to make. You can have a spiritual family, right? in your friends or within a community. And so I'm mentioning that because I don't want people to feel stuck by other people's beliefs, because you can go out and you can find situations that you can actually shine and allow yourself to be who it is you're meant to be.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing to state and highlight. And it's been my experience because I was the one who was afraid to come out to my husband. Like my kids always knew, right? Because I never shielded myself from them, but my husband was the one I shielded. And so when I decided to step into my truth, I had to come out of the spiritual closet to him and kind of tell him everything. The light language unfolded after that, but he's never been one to reject it, because in rejecting that, he would be rejecting me ultimately. But he's been understanding, and he's kind of slowly opened up, like this little, this little cocoon is starting to open up, and it's starting to permeate everything. Because I find myself waking up in the middle of the night speaking light language, and he's like right there. So I'm just, having a conversation with somebody, somebody. But this is what I want to say. What I've discovered is when you accept it within yourself, I think you first have to become self-accepting of all of you. That creates the safety for the people around you to follow suit. It can't be reflected in the external if you haven't embodied that internally. So it first has to happen internally. I'm accepting all of me without judgment, and only then can you be met in the external in that same way. So I think stepping into your truth, walking in your authenticity creates a safe space for the people around you to do the same thing, right?
I agree with that so much. And I also just want to share, I am having a hot flash. That is why I'm sweating, in case those watching can see me. What you say is so powerful and so true, because this co-creation process is experienced through us by our filters. And when we have filters of not good enough, not going to be accepted, then that's what we see, and that's what we create. And so you can literally be surrounded by the most loving people, and like it, through your, through the active thought patterns and beliefs, limiting beliefs you have about yourself, like not see them as loving, or just really cause them to show that the prismatic aspect of themselves that resonates with your belief. And so when you move into the space of accepting yourself more and being like, all right, look, this is who I am. This isn't gonna stop. And it will probably happen when I wake up in the middle of the night. So I need to just confess it, some, or whatever it is, where you just say to yourself, you know, I'm I'm embracing this about myself. I'm gonna not, I don't want to hide this anymore. It can come out in different ways, but ultimately it's you just saying like, this is who I am. And I think when you do that and you realize that you want to share that, it there's just so much more ease, and like it's like those that love you, those that are in your world, like they can't not show you some version of this loving, this acceptance. I mean, because you're just at that maybe opening space of accepting yourself, they're probably not going to be like, oh my God, I speak light language too. They're probably just going to say, oh, that's interesting. It's probably going to be a smaller version, but then they're going to expand and accept it as you expand and accept it. So I just love that you brought this up, because so much of every, I believe that so much of every aspect of this physical journey that we're having can be enhanced by accepting ourselves, by loving ourselves. It's like all the things are affected by that, like all the things. All the things. So that's lovely. I love that you had that experience, and I love that you shared that, because it's just a beautiful reminder that, like, look, whether you speak light language or like whatever it is that you do, you are an expression of your soul. You're an extension of the divine. You didn't, maybe consciously choose to be this way in this lifetime, while you're in physical form. You did before you incarnated, but this is you. And there's such an important and beautiful reason why you are you. So when you can accept that, it's just literally all the things get better. And it might take a while. It doesn't have to. It's okay. It's all good. Just as long as you're in that space of accepting, embracing yourself.
That's beautiful. I feel like that's the gift that we give this physical creation, that we give the world, is the gift of our authenticity, right? It's our authentic frequency. We're allowing ourselves to hold and anchor that into this dimensional reality. And by doing so, we hold our color on the tapestry, on the weave that is the collective creation of us, the collective masterpiece of us. If we don't do that, then we don't fill in our strand. We don't hold all the attributes that we're here to hold for the collective tapestry that we are. So I think that's what we're here to do it unapologetically, right? And to get comfortable with that looking different than everybody else's. It doesn't have to look like everybody else's. And I think a lot of us get seduced into following the mold, the societal molds that have been established, but it's necessary to step outside of that. So yeah, having the courage to do that is a powerful thing. Yeah.
Beautifully said. It is necessary to step outside of that if you want to find your true divine essence. And it's so much better when you do that. The stepping through the door can be a little challenging, but you do feel so much more courageous after that. You're forced to have a different perspective of yourself. It's just only better and better things come from embracing your true divine nature.
This is such a beautiful flow in the conversation, like where we've gone. And just being authentic and allowing ourselves to be who it is that we're meant to be, then that just opens up doors or access points that we can then begin to express ourselves truly from a soul level, but also to expand, because when we allow ourselves to be that way, and it's not just light language, all right, or not just spirituality, but just across the board in every aspect of who we are, no matter what it is that you do, when you allow yourself to be authentic and to radiate that, then the doors begin to open and you begin to unfold. Your life unfolds in that direction with greater ease. And I think as well, what I've found in my own life, when we allow ourselves to do that, we'll see the shifts that are happening. And sometimes, I'll look back and went, where is so-and-so? Or what happened with that? And they're gone, right? Or, I feel guided to leave communities or groups that I've belonged to for years and have been associated with the work. But then you also notice that the people that have left, they're replaced with people that are, for lack of of the same vibration, right? I don't want to say like-minded, but I think we're speaking more of vibration and in resonance now. So we find those people, that we magnetize those people, we magnetize the circumstances that are needed from our resonance, right? As we raise our vibration, those doors are opening and more is coming in, right? Our life just becomes more expansive. So it's so beautiful that we're talking about this.
Yeah. I love that you're sharing that, because so many times people get concerned about the fact that if they follow their spiritual journey, they will lose people. They're going to lose their friends, they're going to lose whatever they're going to lose. And I would like to offer that just hold the intent that you are going, like you said, you're going to have that community, like that it's only natural that as you move, you bring those that are going to be the most supportive, the most resonant, the experiences that are going to be the most joyful. And those that do move on you were divinely contracted to them to get to a certain level, to assist each other in a certain way. And then it's time for your paths to part, potentially. Like you could be in a space where you move forward on your journey, and because of the fact that you affirm that, my life is divinely guided and that I'm naturally surrounded by people that I resonate with, all of the people in your world might begin resonating. You never know. Like I trying to think of a good situation. I can't think of one right now. But really, because you are so co-creative, because you're always vibrating, because your thoughts and your intentions and your feelings matter. If you can just move into the space that, as I move forward and honor this calling that is so powerful within me, that everything that I need, desire, and require will shift around me, including the loved ones, and it will all be for each of our highest goods. Like it's not going to serve you to pretend that you're someplace vibrationally that you are not, like just so you can have certain people in your world, and you don't know that, like, if there is a separation that might be best for them. But just set the intent that your life is always full of beings that you resonate with, of the divinely guided beings who will support your journey the most. That's a much more higher vibrational intention than, what if I lose people? And it's a valid fear, but because you're such a powerful creator, you're going to be creating, more of losing people. You're going to create people that come into your life to be released. So just as much as possible, and you could always ask your divine guides for assistance, but just stay in that space of, what, I love that I'm just surrounded by the right people, by the people that I connect with, that I'm divinely guided to connect with, that there's such a joyful journey. I feel that's so full of love from the beings in my world. And that's very different from like, am I going to lose people? So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. And I want to tie this back to something you mentioned in the beginning, and that is the thing about needing to know. And when you operate in your authenticity, you don't have a need to know. There's no necessity to know, because when you're fully authentic, the pressure's off. You don't need to plan. You don't need to worry about what somebody thinks about what you're doing. You can literally just show up to life within the present moment, knowing that everything will be given in the now. Everything that you need is given from the now moment. So there's no need to worry about knowing, because what is needed is literally given. Like I don't even plan anymore. I don't even script my podcast. I don't do any of that. I literally just show up without a plan, because if I show up with a plan, it's like I'm not in the now. I'm focused on what question needs to come next. Where can I get this question in? And all of those things, which takes me out of the now. But being authentic, you are fully settled in your own energy, not with no necessity to worry about what anyone thinks, including yourself. You just show up fully present, fully seated within the now. So I think that settles that need to know. Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
You had stated something earlier too, and I had just wanted to say, when we allow ourselves to be authentic and to just answer that call that's whispering in our ear, we have to understand we can't change anyone other than ourselves. We can allow ourselves to become who it is we're meant to be. But there's such a strength and beauty in being a catalyst for others just by leading by example, right? That's really the only way we can change another person's life, and that's really the only way humanity can really change the world is just leading by example. Because when other people see your light, or other people, they're like, wait a second, what is she doing? Oh my goodness, I want that. I've had that people come back that had left my life, and all of a sudden they're back in my life, and they're all of a sudden interested in what I'm doing. And it's really, it's I was gonna say it's interesting again, but it's very interesting, I guess, to see how other people aren't necessarily keeping up with your evolutionary process. They have their own evolutionary process, but sometimes there's this catch up. There's an ebb and flow in everybody's lives, and then they might just flow away again, and then there might be a catch up. So I'm kind of noticing that within my own life.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I love what you said because I hear so many, you've probably heard before, you're a human being, not a human doing. But the truth is, when you are your authentic self, there are certain energy signatures that are active and activated in your energy field. And because your energy field is expansive and it is much larger when you are authentic, when you're in your joy, your light codes are basically like keys in the light codes of others, or they're planting seeds in the energy fields of others. So you're just being you, bopping along, smelling the roses, and then you interact with people, you teach a course, you meet someone on the bus, and then, maybe you end up saying something that's the right thing to them, or maybe not, like maybe they just sense your presence, but there's just sort of this network. It's like is it mycelium? Is that what's called with the bases of the trees, the roots, and they like support each other? It's like we're also supporting each other. And so when you're holding these powerful light codes, they can influence the light codes and the energy fields of others, like just by your being. And I'm sure we've all experienced like just by hugging a tree, like the tree's just standing there doing its tree thing, and like you hug it and you feel so different. And like it holds these beautiful light codes, this beautiful sequencing of it's a beautiful teacher just by being itself. And you interact with it even for a short while, and you're just aligned, like, or I'll just feel peaceful or grounded, or having, if I've been on the computer too long, like that energy will just be kicked off, and like literally for hugging a tree 10 seconds. And when we're in our authenticity, I think we're like that, like we're just so influential, and we're being and we're doing kind of all we need to be and do here. It's like being that color in the tapestry, that thread in the tapestry. It's like when you're authentic, it's like we don't even have to try to do things. Like we just be ourselves as much as we can, be in our joy as much as we can, and then the rest just happens.
I often say jokingly, hello, divine spark, meet divine kerosene. Like I'm the kerosene for the
And then when she was talking about bebopping along, I had this vision of, I don't know why, walking on a bus, and some guy had these headphones on, and he was listening to like trance dance or grunge music or something. And so when I walked by, he's like, "Wait, what?" And it turned to like cello music or something. I was like, because I was thinking you were talking about sound, and it's almost like life itself is this musical composition, and there's all these different instruments, and there's all these different qualitative aspects and dynamics, and when someone else enters the picture, the quality and the dynamic of the music changes. And so when people can be receptive to that, all of a sudden there's a shift from grunge music to classical music or something, and they're like, not understanding that there's a shift energetically that's happening. So, oh my goodness, beautiful, beautiful conversation, ladies. Um, so, Chernise, I think this would be a good time for you to go into your experiential demonstration of your light language and maybe share something with our audience. And I'm going to go ahead and pin you as well. And if there's anything that people need to do to prepare, just, let us know beforehand, and then let us know when you're complete.
All right, will do. So if you have any water around you, that is always helpful just to get the energy to flow. Also, it's good to just honor your body because maybe you need to eat afterwards to ground your energy. Just do what you need to do. Just do what your body says. So basically what I'm offering is called quantum alignment with your soul's essence. And so I love where this conversation has been going because some of the things that are related to what I'm going to be doing are related to what we've said before. So some of the most foundational and primal emotional directives that we feel are based on whether we are in alignment with our soul's essence or whether we are out of alignment with our soul's essence. There's no way of getting around that while you're in physical form. And so I work with the quantum field, and I'll be using light language to help bring you into greater alignment with your soul's essence. And with this recording, you can definitely rewind it and listen to it whenever you want to, because what it's going to do, it's sort of like a general sweep to help move you into alignment. And so whenever you feel that you would benefit from this, you can do this. And so I'm going to drink some water. And then so I would just like for you to just close your eyes and take a few deep breaths at your own pace. Slowly inhaling and slowly exhaling as you feel guided. And I'd like for you to now align your energies with the energies of Mother Gaia, reaffirming your connection with Mother Gaia. I'd like for you to now align your energies with the energies of Source beyond space-time, reaffirming your oneness with Source. Let's ask that your divine healing teams and your divine spirit guides surround each of you individually and also as a group, holding this container while we move into greater alignment with our soul's expression. That is us. That is our true divine nature. All right, let's start by what would it take to enhance those aspects of our being that are already aligned with the true nature of our true divine essence. Inyalataka ana aya akalashataka. Isyala ana akahala aka. Nala ana aya ana akalataka. Ichanala akana atala. Asalaka. Ichalaka. Anala akana achataka ala amaa. No yolo opana aya ata aka. Isyala ana chataka ala aka. Nala ya a. Nilia ana aka. Esyala anaka chatakaba. Mo alahia anaka. Isyala anachataka apala akana. Etiala. Etiala. I kianala aka. Akalana. Ichala aka. Mala akiana achataka. Mala aya. Nyata. Everything that is out of alignment with that enhancement, wherever it exists across all time, space, dimensions, realities, seen or unseen, known or unknown, I offer in totality to the quantum field to be transmuted in totality by God beyond space-time, the source of all. I give thanks to the wind element for returning this transmuted energy back to you and for enhancing it with divine love, divine light, divine joy, and all that was just offered. I give thanks that this is so now and that this unfold with grace, with ease, with harmony, with love, with light, with joy, and in accordance with your highest divine nature. I ask that your divine healing team put this on automatic every millisecond until there is enough of a shift in your energy field that this manifests in your third dimensional world in a way that is sustained and self-sustaining. How does your energy field reconfigure itself? How does it feel to feel even more aligned with your true divine essence? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, now, and what are all of those areas, those energy signatures in your energy field that are ready to move into greater alignment with the expression of your true divine essence? Ita akana ita alakana ata akapala inya alaka apala achaka. Anakala ataka manyala achaka ala tanaka mulya ala aka nisyala anaki ataka enyala achikia ana alatiaka ala natasaka pala ana aka na yala ana chataka apa ala ataka inya ala aka onya ala ataka a. Everything out of alignment with those enhancements, wherever they exist across all time, space, dimensions, realities, seen or unseen, known or unknown. I offer totality to the quantum field to be transmuted in totality by God beyond space-time, the source of all. I give thanks to the wind element for returning this transmuted energy back to you and for enhancing it with divine love, divine light, divine joy, and everything that was just offered. I give thanks that this is so now, and that this unfold with grace, with ease, with harmony, with love, with light, with joy, under grace and perfect ways for your highest good and the highest good of all concerned, in alignment with your truest divine nature. I ask your divine healing team put this on automatic every millisecond until there is enough of a shift in your energy field that this manifests in your third dimensional world in a way that is sustained and self-sustaining. How does your energy field reconfigure itself? How delightful does it feel to have all of these aspects of your being that were excited and ready to move into greater alignment with your soul's divine expression? How does it feel to feel supported through that process, knowing that this will unfold with ease? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And finally, where are all of those aspects of your being where you have found it challenging to align with your true divine essence, but you and your soul would benefit greatly from your being able to activate them or experience these as activated within your being? Iatala ana aka aya atana la michala akata anya atakala asana tataka ala aka munyala achiaka la ana aya anataka miyala akaya mala anakata muliniala naka mesiala akana atala esiala anaka manyala aka ipiala ana. Everything out of alignment with that enhancement, wherever it may exist across all time, space, dimensions, realities, seen or unseen, known or unknown. I offer in totality to the quantum field to be transmuted in totality by God beyond space-time, the source of all. I give thanks to the wind element for returning this transmuted energy back to you and for enhancing it with divine love, divine light, divine joy, and everything that was just offered. I give thanks that this is so now, and that this unfolds with grace, with ease, with harmony, with love, with light, with joy, under grace and perfect ways, for your highest good and the highest good of all concerned, in alignment with your truest divine nature. As your divine healing team, put this on automatic every night until there is enough of a shift in your energy field. Let this manifest in your third dimensional worlds in a way that is sustained and self-sustaining. How does your energy field reconfigure itself? How lovely and gently is the unfolding of the aligning of these energy signatures within your being to your true divine essence. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So be it. Just allow this energy to process a little longer, maybe for 30 seconds or so. You might want to start breathing deeply to bring your awareness back to your physical form. And then whenever you're ready, you might want to just wiggle your fingers around, wiggle your toes around, maybe your hands and your wrists and your ankles, maybe your torso, your head, your neck. And then whenever you feel ready, just open your eyes. And if you have a glass of water near you, feel free to take a drink if you feel guided to do so. Thank you. That is now complete.
Nice. Beautiful. I felt most affected by the toning. Every time you toned, it was like a wave, like this wave that's just rushing through and doing whatever it needed to do. It was beautiful. Thank you.
Beautiful. You're welcome. Thank you.
I was trying to put words to how I was feeling. There's like a beautiful settling in, I think is the only way that I can express it. Like I might have been, I was really tired and everything's, energy was scattered a bit. It just seems like everything kind of came in and centered me. Like I feel more centered. I feel more solid. And as you were going, I just felt like, oh, I can feel the chair a little more. Like I just came down into my body. That was beautiful. That was
Beautiful.
beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think that this is a good time for us to go into our Trinity light language dialogue. And so how we do that is I will go first and Andona will be second and then you will be third, Chernise. And then we'll just, we usually go through 3 cycles. I think but it's usually about 3 cycles. If we're going and I get like one more time, because there's something, my guidance will come and say, you're complete. Whatever it is that I feel like, I just lost the word, but it's almost like creating a stew. Like there's these different ingredients that each of us are
Yeah.
coming in, and I just heard, what are you mixing up? What are you, right? So the recipe for today is all right. So we'll all be unmuted here. Pericutris pen nomators tutris pen nutrin, gaiamato tutris perut, nutris perut nun, grita patris petrator, nutris petator, nutri petris pen nutris pondertain, natritur, natritur, tutri titri tritri, cutrus turum, nutris utut Dikung nimokutrum masatram matitiariteketurum mot mitura sukuturum apatratese notur mitutris pura gangangandan tundris spiria matantantritesur not tritesur not disut no.
Ja, tuorisnrve omatia. Tässä on tekäisodrve otondor käisandраkat. Verutea sandreatu mi tuuri fetiundia kai sandragatu maris sandreatu kai. Veadu arrisnrve mir. Deutea sandrakaisan. Vo oru sindrekai isiando kai sandrve mir o an. Heru kaisan. Voru sandreat. Desor kema uatin deshotrakan diashopremat. Vorusian de asad. Merusian dreket, berrukaina kaisan. Orusian de kemerukan jotramatea, berut ishan ashe, barkaisan.
Ilya ana katala achana akala yatala ana akala asa moni ala aya tanakala aya moya ala chataka nisi ala ana aya ala akata malanaka tala sichiana ala katala aya ataka akanataka Nilya anakasa, malya ana achiatakala atenia alastana chiakatala ako, mihi ala ana idi ala iti akachana takala anaha, mohi ala anyaka, molya ana chiakatala sana chataka apala, inya alaha, inya alaha, inya alaha.
Tu kierepis chatundra spakerat te mamma katutra. Ma c'ere ora che sa mia mamma katutra spiria. Che c'è kundra spa ai e tira o cura mamoto un diesia te kendre. Si c'è katungora c'è kakkacha. Ne bo ora. Perché la mamma c'è kundra spiria kakka. Na tatunde pura chandere si candu le betura cacciare c'è pacora na c'è cacciamondra si pere mai endura sapaia coia manna tisha putra spora haru cura ne c'è ciacchindere spi anda cura asho coia bacchetia meduca natura spa era hace che monno aspiciam.
Rusian revetu miata, nia sotra kainde sotra matia sandi, Rusian revetu mari sandra ketu ma, beru kayande sotra revetu kainde sotra matia, be a horu kainda satruat. Merrasia to kende koshon remetu kan, be Rusian rakaisiam, ma harasande asho. Berroson revetu mirk ve un, harrimia tu karisian revetu mirka fod. Harrasindra ke tu mirro sondrea tu kan veruka yan verush hisan veruka mayan tu kaisan desjugo dama asindra katua berraka shondra vetu mirro ka vo hier ka ma asindra katua merrasindra ke ovoruka inda sotrame ovoruka inda sotramatia horukea serra sandea propshondrea tu mirro ka pondea Verros onderweg uscir de mat, verros isham. Presiandra kai siandra mat udan, verros isham.
Inya alataka ana atakala siachanaka. Nilya ana akala ana ata ina alasana chekio polo otono aya ala kresia atakala. Nelia ana akatala ayana taratara. Nisiala ana kala anataka. Mulya ana ataya alakana. Ilya ana acha akatala a moli, mali, mili, ali, ini, oyo, iska, aka, halana hakatiala naha, moya ala siana chakanala atiata aka, milya ana aya asiala chanakatala yatana i, milya ana aka, musiala chitiana ala, akala tinya asicha takala, e kiaka ma silia atana toyo opoko Milia ania atiala ani kisia rataka. Mali ekia na achana akala ana ata. Mo ala asi ini ia ala ana aka. Pa ala ani ini ia ala ano okupo. Ana akapa. Milia ala kata. Isia na kachi. Ana kapa. Akala.
Si ripichiera motor, per se cercacciando po o yaregi. Enderero, e che ne mamma baccatuscio cotre, pinine ciure, che pisciondra spacca aero dura, ma piacere, me che ne mano ture, che si attingero tutura, a cerca mamma quere surma, e no cura, sacca chiena, ma pure per casciura, anna de cura, si picchiano mamma cacciuti e gira, o turere, che ni mamma macacciore, picciucundere spira, e che ni mamma macacciuscio ora siere, perché ni montore nora, se perché ni mamma macacciere tura cere, e ni na macoto succia paccarere, e ni cotore, mi ciucum, a c'era perché motore, dure, e si pigna da cuore, e rama buia casure, e ni mamma cura, che si ciando turen, ore,
Sia tomat, Harry sandrave govai, tunde caisa, verro sandrave tu mirro fautunde a chotre cai, verro tono chotre me ascendra cai, verro si andra cait, verro sondreat, jason. Ore sandrave tu mirro cain, desua, marra caindo sotra ma ascenda caiso, re sia tu car sandrave tu mirro che tu sandreat, vorru si andra che amo ua, Harry si andra cat. Horrakama it, diskaraund, verkama ishontreka itanda kai, barkama uwa verunde, e siaraka dumaruka aiendo shandreat, herrindia uwa, meraka shondre asind, oruka yande ashotrema a foruka india tu marke de shondreat, verukama asiendrakat, rokama asindarakot, resia. Horgama hirakatama diskaraka india sotrama akitan duka asko tamarik etan ukarakapa ukaina tu mirakatu kanya tu karakapa u atina mirokapa shondreka tu abarakapa u de askara atane shondreka mat barakama upereka de shondreka ma uapa ita rukaba utande ashotraka ma ud hirakapa unde ashandre at vorushi rakademe urkava unde ashat Dukar keme urik ainde shir kateme urakaba unde ashat. Rikamati ashandre atukar keva ud dis aratan. Verushia tukar kambute asindra kait rukama asindra kautuar keve un resian, versian, resian, resian, resian.
Ilia takaha. Moya anikia kapa. Milia ana sono chokotono ola anaka. Milia ala tikiana salachana katala ata. Moya ala inia atakare yutrino palana iakana sana chano tokopolo oto. Milia ala anaka. Masi ala achiaka tala. Menia aka. Mania ati ala asa. Mokia inia halacha. Monia ealataka. Inia Alyahata Mua Alahi Mukia Sialataka Eyan 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 Ayaka.
e tu era sapere ma nutre spor, e c'era paket undur, ta c'aggiungere spi, me ero ora cosù, na dai e o tu tur, speccaia na mamma mo co, ta nana mai tu su ciur, Se ezoku o shundres bi or ke kapayera masutu tu to chis to kundres bicha namamba ke yatora sutura majitun. We are complete. Definitely a beautiful weaving. It was almost like a sense of a portrait with that consciousness that came in when we closed. It just feels lovely. Closest word I have. Yeah. All right. So just bringing ourselves back into the space here. What was that experience like for you?
It
Chernise sensei.
was
Yeah.
just lovely and joyful. And, there was this like wave of flow and going through my body. It just felt so lovely and supportive. Yeah, it was just it was a lovely experience. And I also felt like the weaving, and just like the beautiful combined, like the space created as a result of our light language, of our light codes. And it just felt so lovely. I mean, it still feels very present. It's like it's like the air doesn't feel thick, but it feels thick. So, but yeah, that was just a lovely flowing experience. Mm, very
Felt myself
healing.
pulling in streams of energy. I could feel myself literally pulling in streams of energy and then creating spheres. Like I could feel myself creating spheres. It was fantastic. It's very much still flowing.
I agree.
Very
It
much.
is.
Gracias. Ah,
I'm like moving, and most of the time, and I move all the time, but I haven't really moved, and I can't stop spiraling. And my body's like, go, 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 let's just go, let go. Because I was kind of like holding it back. And it is this energy that's like flowing in, and it's like this spiral, and it's almost like a clearing that was
yeah.
happening kind of in my body, a release of some sort. So my body's just like
Mm,
wee, like
mm,
like moving, and I'm just hearing, let it go, let it go.
yeah. I said
Ah.
the air felt thick, but maybe it's more like a golden sparkly honey is in the air. Like
Yeah,
it
it
feels
does
very
feel thick. It's like
held.
It's viscosity.
Yes,
Thick is
yes.
a little more, it isn't like negative, but it's not quite. There's a viscosity to that. It is like honey. I feel like I
Yeah.
am in it.
Mm,
Like if I jumped into a swimming pool, you have the water, but I'm underwater. Kind of like
yes.
I just have
Yes.
this energy. I was trying to remember, Andoni, you were talking about spheres, and I could, at some point, I was sensing something like that, like
Mm,
these spheres around
mm.
us. So it's kind of interesting that we were both tapping into that, but it's very much still
Still
flowing.
present. I
Yeah.
saw these golden spheres of light around each one of us, and then sort of expanding to overlap. And there was something in the center. I mean, the word that's coming to me is the golden heart. I don't know if that's what I saw then, but that's just what's coming through now. But I also saw like just these golden spheres radiating out from each of us.
Beautiful. Well, while our audience is probably vibrating and radiating as well, what is one thing that you would really like to say that to leave our audience with this? I can't even speak. What would you like to leave our audience with today?
I would say that connecting with your light language and using your voice to do it is very safe. That there is only safety and but in a way that like we don't necessarily associate with safety, but it is just the safest, deepest, most loving space to connect with your being's expression of these divine frequencies. So if you don't already speak light language and you're feeling called to speak light language and you're afraid, then just do it. Find a teacher that you resonate with and know that it can be a safe, beautiful experience that doesn't have to look like anything that you've seen before. And that's a beautiful thing.
And it's beautiful that you state it doesn't have to look like something that you've seen before, because as Andona had mentioned earlier, a lot of people are looking outside of themselves, and there's a comparative thing going on with what other people are doing and what is coming, that is desiring to come through self. And so it's really, really important. That is a beautiful, beautiful point, that it's really important to know that we all have our own personal medicine and magic, we'll call it. And it doesn't look like anyone else's, because we are the only ones that can do what it is that we do in the way that we do it. So allow yourself that freedom to just be and to become who you're meant to be. What's the best way that our audience can get in touch with you if they would like to go further with you or to see what your other offerings are and so forth?
So my website is called angelicrewilding.com, like rewilding yourself. So you can visit me there. You can also visit me at Angelic Rewilding on Instagram. And those are basically the two, those are the places where you can find me. And yes, my name is spelled, you're actually going to see it. So, well, I'll spell my name anyway, just because I started saying that. You could also find me at CherniseSpruell.com, which is CherniseSpruell.com. So if you don't remember the name of my website, but you do remember my name, you can just enter that and go there. They're both going to take you to the same place.
And Andona, did you have something that you would like to share in closing?
This has been a beautiful conversation, not only about light language, but about authenticity. And I think this has been a very heartfelt, authentic conversation. It's exemplary of everything that we spoke about, all the concepts that we spoke about. So thank you, Chernise, for your beautiful presence and for this beautiful space, Vox. This has been beautiful, and it still feels beautiful.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It has been my pleasure and honor and an absolute delight to meet you both and to be here with you.
And on that note, I am still spiraling, trying to hold it at bay here. But I know I don't have to do that. I can just be who it is I'm meant to be. And just leaving everyone with that mention, I am so happy that you joined us. And thank you so, so much for being supportive of this Light Language Summit. And we are so happy to see you all here. And thank you. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Tututi Petri, Kairabatu Suere Matres Pura, Tacherendi, Piriku tutte rispagliano gente, Sukuya Matoshia, Tapacutro Spiratu, Okura. sull'ere ieri Siria. Te baka utrus peria. Te duendra.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.